Hello, everyone. Welcome back to season 7. This is episode 11 of the Shop Stool podcast. I hope you're all having a fantastic day. Brian, it sounds like it's a wet one where you are.
It is, yes. So sorry to anybody watching on YouTube. I'm very close to the camera and close to the microphone, trying to get the sound quality okay. But yeah, it is hosing down here, which is good.
Yeah.
We need it.
What is your roof? Is there any insulation in it, or?
Yeah, it's insulated. It's just
Okay.
color bond with
You're in your shed.
Yeah.
Okay.
Compared to the other shed, if I was in here, if I was in there, you wouldn't have been able to hear me. So yeah. Better than nothing.
Yeah. So we had a chat before the show. We're gonna start, Brian, with you. I believe there's another Blackbird issue.
Correct.
What's going on?
So it was all finished and looking good and packed it the way that it arrived to me. So fixed through the underside of the box into the mounting points in the center on the underside. And it arrived in Perth, and I got a phone call from the client expecting, brilliant, thanks for the great job. And he sent me a whole load of videos of it floating around loose in the box.
No.
It had ripped, it must have been dropped so hard. It had ripped, there were M12 bolts that were fixing through, I think it was 16 mil ply, countersunk M12 bolts that had gone through the ply into the threaded inserts in the mounting fin on the underside of the plane.
Yeah.
It had cracked one of them out and ripped the bolt head through the plywood on the other one.
Holy
Wow.
shit.
Yeah. So
I wonder if these
Yeah.
delivery guys see a big box like that and they think,
with a big with stickers with fragile glass plastered all over it.
but they just see a big box with big bolts and they go, well, this thing can withstand
what I
anything. You know,
I'm just gonna
off
say
we go.
if the more you package something, I think the more they feel like they can do
Yeah.
whatever they want with it.
Yeah.
So fortunately, I packed it with foam underneath the wings to try to prevent that issue that caused the original breakage of the weight of the wings flexing. If I hadn't have done that, I reckon broken wings again. But yeah, it was just the mounting fin is pretty much all that got damaged. But then it's just the additional layer of stress. Like, to me, I'm taking it on as a job for a favor, really, as a friend. And then I have to deal with the insurance claims and find somebody in Perth. And
Holy
luckily, Mark from Manor stepped up, and he's taking
nice.
on the repair. It's it's such a small repair. Like, I could pretty much talk someone through it on the phone.
Right.
But you know, when you have a client who's had a tough experience with it, like over the last couple of months, they're just getting sick and tired of it. So
It's not good enough, eh?
yeah. Like
Wonder
it was basically just squeezing in a bit of wood glue into the cracks on the mounting fin, adding a bit of tape to hold it till it dries, and that was kind of it.
Yeah.
Well, then I have to spend hours of my time going through insurance claims and finding people to fix it. So yeah,
So is it
Pain
on
in the
you, though,
ass.
or is it on the original? Like, who's like? I know you did this as a favor, but surely the whole weight of the job is not now on you, because like you're just on shipping it to someone else.
it's a very good question, Joey.
Yeah, it's tough.
And there was
huh?
definitely, I don't feel as though there's any fault at my end, because I shipped it the way that it was meant to be shipped, and the way that it got from America to Perth and to me was fixed with those two screws. The problem that caused the damage was the weight of the wings, nothing to do with the way it was fixed to the box. So yeah, the courier was like, oh, if we'd known you were sending it that way, we would have changed the way it was packed and insured. I'm like, it was packed just fine. It's been dropped at least off the back of a truck, if not off a forklift. Like,
And what's odd, like when you said the bolt head has been ripped through the plywood,
yeah,
it seems almost impossible. when you
that's
think the inertia, like the weight of that Blackbird, the inertia it must have had to continue to be pulled through
yeah.
it's like it was fired out of a cannon. Like that's crazy.
Yeah, that thing, I think it weighs 12 kilos, I think the Blackbird was.
Right.
Yeah. The whole box was 28 kilos.
So just
Yeah.
dropping that is so far not enough to like
Correct.
Yeah.
It's so outrageous.
Anyway,
Well,
so
I
yeah,
think you need to go back to Neil and let him know that he needs to figure out a better packing system.
we're chatting about it.
Yeah, because
But,
clearly
yeah.
there's something, and that's not on Neil, but clearly there's something that's not vibing with this.
You know,
Yep.
in these days, you could probably, you know how 3D printers print those little tower things to support
Yep.
an overhang. You
Yep.
almost need just a 3D print something like that is the exact shape of the fragile piece, and it sits in its own little kind of nest.
Yeah,
Like a beautiful laser cut piece of foam would have done the job, but it just needed to support the wings as well.
and maybe you need
but yes.
M16 bolts this time.
I think we might go M25s. I think we might weld it in as well. So yeah, as anybody knows, sorry, I'm just shaking a bit of a cold. As anybody knows, just the additional layer of stress that puts on you as a small business owner, and all those extra unpaid hours and anxiety, and it's like, oh, was I at fault? Should I have done something different? And yeah,
That's crazy.
Yeah.
It's because it completely stops you in your track, because you've just got to get that organized in your head, go through the motions, and there's a half a day on the phone gone, and you're kind of behind.
yep,
It's
yep. So at the same time, just trying to sort tax issues and financial stuff with my accountant, and then trying to study, and then trying to work on other jobs and waiting on clients for information on those. It's been a couple of weeks of just
Admin. How's
I think I've
teaching?
literally spent maybe 5 hours in the workshop.
Okay,
Maybe.
that answers the next question I had. Yeah, are you actually doing anything?
Not really. Working on a memory box. That's pretty much it, man. It's the teaching is just full on. A lot of assignments. Pretty intensive assignments too, and then starting to prepare for placement. So I'm going into a shadowing teaching role for 3 weeks in October.
well, cool.
So yeah, that's all
So
happening.
I suspect you're secretly glad at this point that you don't have lots of actual work to get done right now. Like, I think long term, you can manage it better when you're not studying. Or would you prefer the cash flow?
Cash flow is needed.
Yeah.
It's just becoming a bit of a financial struggle, really.
Yeah.
But trying to balance, I just don't know. Like, the course is over 18 months, but there may be a potential that I extend it out and just pull it to 2 years or something, and then try to get part-time teaching assistance roles next year, and then combining that with a bit of work. But yeah, I still just feel like the inquiries are not coming in.
Yeah.
I had a listener of the show actually reach out and pass on a job, and they were based in Queensland, I think. Forgive me,
cool.
I can't remember your name because my brain is just scrambled right now. But they passed on the details of a client wanting a bed in Victoria. So I'll follow that up. But yeah, man, it's just a slog at the minute. With 2 kids and life and all the extra stresses of stuff that I don't talk about on the show.
Yeah. Crazy.
But
it's interesting having done this show now for however many years. Many years.
Was it 6? Are we up to 6 years with me on the show? 2019, I think.
I'd have to go back.
Yeah.
Probably. But
Maybe
you
2018.
can almost,
I think 2018.
Anyway.
I feel like.
you could almost track the trends of you guys, because Joey, you've obviously had the same thing as well, your ups and downs. And if you go back and listen over the whole catalog, you'll see all the ups and downs that we have. So yeah, hopefully this is just a blip.
Yep. Like I said, like it's progressing to something, like the fact that there's study and an end point with that. But yeah, I just want to be making more stuff, even if it was just self-commissioned work. But I just don't have the time or the money. So yeah, fingers crossed. Yeah. What have you guys been up to?
Well, Joey, let's get into that vanity of yours, because that awesome.
Okay, we'll do vanity first. All right. So I made a vanity. End of story.
Thanks, everyone. See you later.
What do you want to know? I mean, so it's an interesting job. Like the lady came to me, and I have done a lot of work for this client, and so I kind of know what she wants, what she expects, and she sends me these awesome PDFs with all these pictures of what she likes and some basic dimensions and which taps she's going to have and which basin she's going to have, and it's all like all the specs are on this PDF, and I just kind of have to copy it onto my modeling and onto SketchUp and model it up, and that's it.
But had she come up with the idea for the curved
She
front face?
found some pictures of like 3 different vanities with similar bow-fronted drawers, and she sketches it up on like Microsoft Paint or something, just some 2D kind of drawings, and she had a 5th leg at the front under the bow, and just kind of rough idea of what it would look like, and I just kind of worked out how to do it. And I thought right from the start, you probably don't need that 5th leg in the front, especially because that is part of the drawer that comes in and out. You can't really attach a leg anywhere under there anyway. It's actually really small. There's pixel space inside because all the plumbing has to come straight down to the floor. So there's big cutouts in the drawers for plumbing, and it's just generally a big pain in the ass.
Something I noticed with it, so just for everyone listening, it's basically a vanity with a very
Sculpted.
heavy curve in the
Yeah,
front.
it's almost circular, right?
Now
Yeah.
I've seen those
semicircular.
that style of curve in vanities before, but never. I mean, yours looks exaggerated
Yeah.
because normally the curve's a lot more gentle than that, right?
Yeah, and I think initially that was the idea, but when I started playing around with the actual basin that was going to sit, the curve, so you've got an undermounted oval basin, and the vanity top, the front of the vanity top, has to match that same radius as the basin. Otherwise, it
I
doesn't
didn't
look
realize.
right.
I didn't realize that was the constraint.
And then
Okay,
if
yeah.
you follow that down, then the drawers have all got to follow, or at least at the front, have that same radius, and then somehow curve back, kind of serpentine back on themselves to the carcass. And so, right from the start, I said I need the basin, I need the actual one we're going to use. In the past, what I've done is given her a digital file, so the stone benchtop guys can just cut that out ahead of time, and then they plonk it on the whatever I make. But
Oh, so they cut to your
yeah, I give them a digital
Right.
template because it's usually pretty straightforward, square things. But in this case, I had to make a physical template because it's essentially a handmade porcelain basin. It's not symmetrical, so I have to make the template, and the curve has got to match the actual basin, not some theoretical oval. And so that was my first job, is to actually work out the shape at the top and then kind of work from there down and fit it all to it.
and I guess with that you can't get close. It's got to be you want it to be spot on.
And then, of course, the problem is the handmade basins. Like if anyone's worked with a butler's sink before or any ceramic bowl, especially undermounted ones, they're almost never flat. And in this case, it had slumped off as it had dried or been fired, and there was probably a 7 mil slump or drop off on one side.
7 mil.
Yeah, it's massive. And
So that's where it makes contact with the
with,
stone.
with the stone top. And so
Wow.
we called the suppliers, and they pulled out one other one, and it was no better. So I was like, well, we're going to have to deal with this. And the poor, the stone guys are going to have to fill it with epoxy when they glue the stone to the top, the stone to the vessel. So I've had that with butler's sinks. I don't know if you've ever had to put one in, probably not. But butler's sink is like a big square ceramic sink. And typically they hang out the front of the cabinetry. You see the front of the porcelain ceramic and they're again often handmade or kind of handmade. They're probably put in molds or something, but it seems that every time when they fire them, they change shape and they're never flat. And I've had them 10 mil out from one side to the other. The height can be all over the place, and so it's a massive headache to get them to fit in the cabinetry.
And the curved front, was that just flexible bendy ply built up?
Yeah, bendy ply, and I think I mentioned this to you the other week, but it didn't get on the podcast. So she wanted it to be stained black like everything else I've made them. And I knew this was a pretty tight curve. So I was using 5 mil bendy ply for the drawer front, and it only just bent on that radius, on the return radius. It's pretty bloody tight. So I've got 4 layers of 5 mil bendy ply, and then I made a 1 mil thick full height veneer in the workshop, and which was ridiculous. I don't think I could do it again if I tried. But
because how deep was that? How high was that?
240. So
Wow, that bandsaw was having a
I
rough day.
bandsawed it to like 5 mil, put it
And then
through the
just
new
drum sander.
I put
You
it
went
through the new
through the
helical
thicknesser,
and I got it down to 2 mil.
right?
And
On a
just-
substrate.
Yeah, on a substrate.
Yep.
And it just still wasn't flexible enough. And I thought, if I can get another 0.5 mil out of it in the drum
Absolutely
sander,
pinching as it's going through that thicknesser.
and
Or
so the drum sander won't sand down to 0 because the spongy table kind of flexes up into the drum, and so you end up sanding away your belt. So I put my veneer on a substrate, and I had the measurement slightly out, and instead of taking 0.5 mil, I took a whole mil off it. So I was down to 1 mil, like feathery piece of wood on my substrate, and it just
gently
worked.
picking it up
Yeah,
like
yeah.
this in case
I
it just
did
evaporates.
that with 2 little fingers and kind of like walked through the workshop, and it just worked perfectly.
It looks
so
beautiful.
I couldn't be happier
Wait,
with it.
When you say you put on a substrate,
Yeah, like
are
a
you
piece
just?
of plywood?
But you're not attaching it to it.
No, which I didn't know how to do that.
Yeah, because
It's
that's
so
what I'm
thin.
asking.
I just pinched the shit out of it as it started, and because it was actually a pretty heavy cut, the substrate was moving faster than the veneer,
Yeah.
and I had to like keep pinching it, and it was wanting to like buckle up, and it was a bit stressful. But
It's a tricky one, Robin. I know what you mean about fixing it to the substrate, because especially on the thin ones, when you pull it up, if you've used double-sided tape or something,
You're just going to destroy it.
pop.
Yeah.
What I do is, if I'm thicknessing it down to like 2 or 3 mil, I'll put the tiniest little ledge along the back edge
yeah,
in the thicknesser, and that'll sometimes help keep it down and keep it in place a
good
bit.
idea.
Yeah.
And then
Doesn't really work when you're going to 1 mil, but
and like I say, I didn't intend to go to 1 mil, and now that I know I can, well, that's great. But I don't think it's certainly not practical. I had one piece of those fronts are actually American ash. I had one piece of 45 mil thick ash, and I got 3 veneers out of that one piece.
Wow.
It's crazy.
and then your black was what?
So I did something different. So I used
This is proper nerd level furniture maker talk now. Like,
yeah, man.
how did you do your black?
Yeah, if you don't care about it,
Yeah.
you can go somewhere else. So I always use a dye stain, and so it's a thinners based. It smells like it's meths based, and it dries like in 30 seconds. And I've always just used a rag and ragged it on, and it just wasn't. Like sometimes when you do that, you can still see especially with ash and oak, the grain pores are so deep that you can still see little flecks of the original color. The dye like dries before it gets all the way in.
Mm-hmm.
And I was sick of seeing it, and it just wasn't black enough. And I thought, so I got an old paintbrush, and I just brushed on the dye stain, and it just like dribbled everywhere, like kind of brushing water on, and it just went jet black immediately, and it like fully stained it properly. Like, why haven't I done this before? And it dried just as quick. So then I just went straight on with black Osmo, and 2 coats of black Osmo, and then sanded it, and then did a final ragged on black Osmo, and it just came out like it looks like it's sprayed. It's like such a
It
good
does
finish.
look like it's sprayed. So
Yeah.
you say your final sand was at what sort of grit were you like
I
400
use
or
800 grit on that
800?
sand.
Right.
So I don't
Yeah.
sand between the coats because I don't want to take the black off. I
Yeah.
just want to
Yeah.
like sand the nibs off, and get
Yep.
it smooth.
Yep.
And yeah,
Can,
That's
can we?
a lot of black for the grain. I've never done it before, but I mean, you're dyeing it, you're putting the Osmo black on, and you can still see the grain
you
coming.
could paint it and you'd still see the grain. And
Oh, I guess
with
yeah.
ash, with
It's
ash
not
and
the
oak, you could do it. If you did it like that's the whole point. Like if you used beech or pine, that's got such a tight grain structure, and it's kind of made for paint grade because
it just looked like a painted surface.
you
Yeah.
can
Okay.
barely see the
Gotcha.
grain.
Plus the dye, Robin, is so thin. Like it really doesn't fill much of the grain at all.
It's
Right.
nothing. It's just like less like water or like putting terps on. It's just
Yep.
nothing.
Yep.
And then
Yeah,
I just made a pretty basic mold, like an A and a B, and just squished them together, just like a skateboard. And yeah, easy peasy.
Well, I've worked with bendy ply just recently to do a job, and it was a bit of a learning curve for me. I didn't realize how flexible the stuff could be, so I got both the long grain and the short grain just to test. I was doing about a meter by meter 90-degree curve in between, if that makes sense. So like a quarter round. And the long grain almost, I mean, it made it, but it needed a bit of encouraging. But that short grain stuff, geez, you could just roll that up into like in a telescope. And it was so funny when I got to the supplier, I was looking at the different boards and I was saying to the guy, I don't know which one I need. And he said, this one's really, you can roll it up really tight. And he grabs the sheet and he starts rolling it, and all I can hear is all the fibers. And I went, no, that's okay. I don't need it to be that tight, and I don't want that sheet anymore because you just trashed that. But he wasn't kidding. You can do massive, and that's the 5 mil stuff.
Yeah, they do have. My suppliers have got the supplier's recommended minimum maximum radius for that, and for the 5 mil, it's like a 250 mil radius or something.
Yeah, right.
It's pretty tight.
I can see now, the last time we spoke, you talked about building up the layers.
Mm-hmm.
I can see why. So on this project of mine, it was, as I say, there's probably about 2 meters worth of curve. And I did a lot of these vertical staves in between to hold it. They were probably 200 mil apart.
Mm-hmm.
And it was fine, but there was still a tiny bit of give between them. It was about a 300 mil high sheet, and then that curve. If I'd done that extra,
ply were you using, Rob?
5 mil as well.
Right? Okay.
But if I'd done that extra layer and epoxied that in place, it would have been bulletproof.
I mean, when I glued those vanity fronts, I just used yellow glue, yellow PVA.
Right. Okay.
You don't need to use epoxy
for the final veneer, the little 1 mil veneer.
All of them, I glued it up as one go because I knew I could.
Okay.
I knew if I thought about putting the veneer on last, but there was no way I'd get the mold exactly in the same place, and it was probably better just to have all the pressure and happening in one press.
In one press, yeah. If you if you were vacuum pressing, you'd probably get away with it in 2 stages, wouldn't you?
Yeah. Probably.
And you didn't have glue squeeze out coming through the veneer?
No.
Through the pores?
No, but I didn't put much on.
Yeah, okay,
I learned
right.
my lesson. Yeah, I just put it enough. Like I really treated it as if I was gluing up a skateboard, and like you just need enough to be wet, and that's it. Because the surface area is massive. So
with something like that, Joey, you've obviously created like the molds, the A and the B molds that you're talking about. Will you keep hold of those?
It's in the skip.
A definitive no is the answer.
I used to, but like that is only good for that one size vanity with that particular curve for that particular basin. And it's like, no, it's never going to happen again. And it took me like 45 minutes to make the mold.
That's the key right there. Is we keep these jigs. I've still got mine from that first vanity that I did to measure up where the draw fronts meet the draw runners, and I kept it from all the conversations that we've had about with guys with jigs hanging on their wall, and it's just collected dust.
Yeah,
it's never gonna. Yeah, you just make a new one.
You'll chuck it, and then about 2 to 3 months later, Robin,
it's true.
You get that phone call. Oh, I'd really like the same vanity that you did for that.
Exactly the same. Nothing different. Yeah, that's very true.
Can we ask ballpark price of that, Joey?
$4,500.
4.5. Yeah, that's. I think that's about right.
It took me about 3 days. 3 days.
But it's also got a big wow factor.
And then I had to finishing as another few days.
Yeah.
It's got that wow factor, which I think that would have, you can put a lot of value in that.
Yeah, that's definitely. I mean, and also in this particular house, it just fits right in. Like everything looks like that. Everything is just done.
Because you made it all, Joey.
Yeah, I pretty much did. I think I started making furniture for this client in 2011.
Yeah.
Something like that. And
this is what we keep harping on about to people, like the importance of those return clients. And like once you've done 2 pieces for them, there's probably going to be a third and a fourth, like further down the line. But and very amicable to your budget. Like, did they set the budget, or did did they come with the design and then you told them what it would cost?
I just said I kind of worked out how to do it. This is how much it was going to cost, and they came back and said, "Oh, you don't have to worry about including the stone top because we're going to have that done." And I said, "No, you don't. It's not including that anyway. That's just how much it costs because it's hard to make." And they said, "Oh, okay, that's fine."
Yeah.
So,
but yes, the difference of having educated clients that have been through your process before.
And they've done 2 renovations and major renovations in the house. The guy's very practical. The husband's great. He did a lot of the work on the house himself, and they just understand that stuff's not easy and it's not cheap. You just can't get it off the shelf. And everything in their house is bespoke. So I think they're probably used to just is what it is.
Good stuff.
Cool.
What have you been up to, Roman?
So, I delivered, just talking about the bendy ply, that was a little ottoman for this guy moored up in the marina on his yacht. So I delivered that on on Saturday. It was quite funny. He's just come back from Magnetic Island, and he didn't want to come back into the marina because you have to pay to moor there.
Yeah.
And it sounds like it's quite expensive because of this. The yacht that he has is one of the biggest there, so he can only moor in particular spots. So he said to me, "Okay, what I'll do is I'll moor offshore, and I'll get my tender and bring it in, and we can just load up the tender with it." So in my mind, I'm thinking this guy's going to putt up to the rock wall, and there's going to be me trying to get this thing down onto his tender. Luckily, Saturday comes around, and I've learned now that Townsville Marina has a tender dock,
Right.
which everyone uses. So it was a simple case of, getting it down. But then at the same time, I also had the issue of nowhere to park because it's in the marina, and I don't have parking for the marina. So Jamie, my wife's with me. So she's sitting in the driver's seat on a roundabout to the side. Just stay there. If anyone complains, just do circles round the roundabout with the trailer because they can't argue if you're driving. And there's me and the client pulling stuff off the trailer, running through the marina to get it into his tender.
Holy shit.
It all worked out in the end, but yeah, I just thought that's the less glamorous side of delivering furniture.
That's funny. I haven't had to do it both.
That sounds pretty glamorous. Like, did you not go out for a bit of a sail while Jamie did laps of the roundabout? No?
Oh, it's taken a long time. Yeah, well, that's what someone actually said to me is, don't get paid, just get a day on the yacht. He sent me a picture and it's fitted perfectly. It's funny.
Looks great, yeah.
you were talking about the curve, Joe. So this is two pieces that turn into a half round that fit into a couch.
Yeah.
And so I went on site. I went onto the yacht and I traced on a big sheet of cardboard the curve. But I got back to the workshop and I looked at my curve and there was a lot of just lines, and it wasn't a half round at all.
No.
And I was just looking at this, going, this needs to be a half round, a perfect half round that gets forced into place. It just feels so wrong. Anyway, I just worked to that curve. And that was my biggest fear, he was going to put it in place and say, this doesn't work. Because there's no easy way to fix that at that point. You've just got to rebuild it. But luckily, I kept enough. I didn't make it as tight as it could have been. Yeah. So I think he was able to just wiggle it in, and he said it was fine. So stoked with that.
That's an interesting point about the cardboard template and whatever you want to use for templating. It's a whole different skill set to be able to make a good template on site. I mean, I've done it for years and I still double think and question whether the mark on my template is the actual mark or did I get it in the wrong place because it doesn't look right. And when you see there are still some old school benchtop companies who make an actual like MDF or cardboard template on like a kitchen island or something, and you see they've done it 1,000 times and then they know exactly what marks they need to do. They know exactly how to break the template into two so they can actually transport it. And it's a whole different thing to make a really good template that you can hand off to someone else, because you have to really dumb it down so much that you can hand your template to someone else and they'll understand what it means. You can never take your template back with like ambiguous markings on it, and then because you get back to the workshop and you're just like, what is this? What does this mean? And I don't think that's actually right. But you've got to trust that the lines on the template or however you made it is correct.
The one thing my suggestion would be take some masking tape and write notations on, like if there's an A side, a B side, or a center or something like that. Put them against the wall that you're templating. Put the template down in place once you've finished it. Transfer those markings onto the template. Take a photograph of the template in place.
That's a good idea. Yeah.
That's your peace of mind, right? That this definitely fits. Yeah. Because, like you're saying about it being a perfect half round, that's assuming that the person that made it to a perfect half round and didn't just wing
which they
it.
didn't.
So
they didn't. But it
that's the reason why we template.
The one thing I wish I'd done, and I could have been more forceful about this and demanded that this gets done, but I didn't, which would have been to actually then cut the template out and then hold it in place. So I just had a piece of cardboard on top with a line drawn around it, which I took away, cut it back home in the workshop. Probably should have done it on site.
Yeah.
And then I would have been solid.
It's tricky. I just recently, had to build a large arched top window, and I had to match the old one that was in the building. I was just making a new sash, and it's 2.3 meters tall, 1.5 meters wide. And so it's a big old thing. And so I was up on a ladder and I was like, how? And it's curved and it's not symmetrical because it was made 100 years ago. And so I'm up this ladder just taping on like craft paper all over this window, and then like using like a crayon and tracing, like doing a rubbing of the window.
Yeah, kind of a rubbing,
Yeah, to trace the shape of it. Got it back to the workshop and was like, oh my God, this is so far out of square. It looks awful. There's no way. But I went with it and built it. And I was like, okay, I'll build it like 3 mil smaller, just so I know I've got a bit of wiggle room. And because the piece of glass was $1,000 just alone. And if I made the frame wrong and then the glass was wrong, if I have to make it again, that's a big mistake. So I was very, very nervous. It went in with 0 millimeters to spare. Like it was exactly the right size and shape. And I was very impressed at myself for doing such a ridiculous thing. But templates are very necessary.
And you got rid of your bar, Robin?
Yeah, and then the other one was the bar. So my mate here, Dan from Riverside Woodworks, he helped me out to actually deliver it, which was quite handy. So thanks again for that, Dan. He did the big
Yeah,
acrylic cutout of
that
the
looks
logo.
cool.
It was so funny. We're standing there. The client was a husband and wife. The four of us are standing there looking at it, going, "That logo looks so good." No one gave a shit about the bar.
Yeah,
The
right.
logo looked so cool.
Yeah, yeah. That's funny.
Yeah, yeah. That I was very happy to see the tail end of that. I'm actually working on the video for that bar now, and the video starts with me 3/4 of the way through the bar, essentially saying, "Fuck it, I'm done. I'm
I
giving them
remember
money
the fuck
back."
it, I'm done. I thought that was where the video was going to stop, but you picked things back up again.
Yeah, I just like, which in hindsight is crazy because it should have been such a simple build. I don't know what I did or what was wrong with my process to make it so difficult. I think the first is just I don't have a good way of cutting good angles well,
Yeah.
and we've talked about the track saw and how that's been able to up my game so much, which is great. But now the next thing is to be able to cut angles with that track saw. I don't know if there's a good way. That's where we come back to the table saw argument.
Mm.
So I think that was probably just the main reason why it became difficult. And then just moving massive sheets of plywood around in a workshop that's not designed for sheet goods. It's, I've got a 2.1 meter ceiling.
That's crazy.
It's really tough to move it around.
I worked in a workshop with a 2.44 ceiling, so we could just stand a sheet of plywood up. And that was hard enough because you can't lift it on an angle to carry it. You've either got to be pretty much got to be horizontal the whole time.
Yeah,
It
how
is
it comes
not
in the door.
easy. Yeah.
Well, this is why I do all my. Last year, I did a full sheet job, and I tried to do it all in the workshop, and I gave up. Now the sheets come in and they get cut outside,
Right.
and then I bring in the cut sheets because otherwise it's too much of a nightmare. But yeah, one of the things I did want to talk about with this bar, and I think this is for anyone who's new into this career path. Something that I've been getting better at is managing expectations and my own emotions on delivery. So we dropped off the bar, Dan and I. We set it up, and this client, they're lovely people, but they don't wow. They don't go, "Oh, this is amazing."
Yeah.
They sit there and they look and they're looking. They're probably internally very happy,
Yeah.
but you just the sweat is just dripping off
Say
your head
something.
because.
Yeah.
And I delivered it. There was a tiny bit of damage from being in the trailer.
Mm-hmm.
The first thing as I'm unloading it off the car, the frames where the photos were in, I left the screw holes. I did them quite neatly, but the screws were visible. I don't have a problem with it. The first thing my wife said when she looked at the bar when it was done, she said, "Oh, what about the screws?" And I went, No, they'll be fine. Don't worry about it. We've got to keep the screws visible so that if they want to change the posters or if they want to pull the frames off, they've got to, they need to. And this client, the first thing she said is, "What about the screws?" Oh, okay. So I've damaged the bar on the trip. The screws are not covered, which they want. And the one side, which I thought was against a wall, is actually against a big frosted glass panel, which you can see through. And I haven't stained that side. So I look at it and I'm like, oh. But something I'm starting to get better at and learn is if you take the initiative and sort of take charge and say, "Oh, that's not right, I'm going to fix it," before they have a chance to point it out, you look like the hero. So I said to her before she, the damage on the bar, I said, "Oh, I've noticed some damage. I'm going to fix that. The screws, all right, leave it with me. I'll sort it out. I'll come up with a solution. I'll figure something out." And the stain, she was sort of, "Oh, yeah." And I said, "No, I'm going to fix it." And it's amazing how it just takes the edge off the conversation. You suddenly go from delivering junk to being the hero of the solution, of the situation.
Yeah. Those quiet clients are difficult And I think that's where a lot of my early nerves always came from, because I feel like all of my early clients were just like, they wouldn't say anything. And I'm just talking to fill the silence, and you're digging yourself a hole. And so I've learned to just shut up and just let there be silence for a little bit, and they can process. Because often clients they're seeing, like if it's a big bookcase or something, or a bar, they're taking in the whole room as a new space because it looks so different. And there's lots for them to think about, the feel and the light and all the things. And all you're looking at is like a screw and a little bit of damage, but they're looking at this giant picture often and trying to like work out what it is that what they're going to say.
Yeah. Yeah, it's almost a luxury that we don't have. They get to see the big picture. We don't, because we know the journey of it.
Yeah.
And Robin, I think silence is better than it's not really what I was expecting. Like,
Yeah.
that's what you don't want.
Yeah.
Silence is golden, right?
You don't. Yeah, that's right. Often, yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
That's funny because I just dropped off a table, and I haven't posted this because, one, it's not my design, and I love the table, but I had some issues with it, and so the client had their own native totra, which is like a nice hardwood, it's a softwood, but it's very waxy, has a lot of resin in it. And typically it's used as fence posts throughout the country. If you want a fence post to last 200 years, use a piece of totra. So this client had 3 big slabs. I made them a slab tabletop, and it's difficult to finish. And I said from the outset, it's going to be problematic to get anything to dry on this timber because the resins in it just don't like anything. So I've had some small success before with Osmo have an additive that essentially makes one of their products in like an epoxy. It's got like a 45-minute pot life. You roll it on and it like dries. It does what it's meant to do. The problem is that it's very sticky and you can't wipe it with a rag like you normally could. It just pulls it and just is gross. So you've pretty much got to roll it on and leave it. And then you've got to put regular whatever you might finish on top of that to actually get a smooth finish. The problem I had with the few knotty bits of this timber where the grain is so dense and resinous, nothing would dry on those knotty areas. So I've got this perfect, beautiful table, and there's like 4 matte, dull spots, and you can feel the difference. And they're in different knotty shapes around the table. And we're pulling it out of the van. And I told the guy, before you look at it, this is the problem. It's 99.5% good, but there's these spots. So I bought it. You can see if you like it, and then we'll have to figure something out if you don't like it. But so far, this is the best I can do. And they were happy. Like, fine, because you can't see it. Most of the time, you can't see it unless you're on the right light angle. You see these dull spots. Anyway, I've left it with them for a couple of days, and I've said, get back to me if you really hate it. I don't know how to fix it, but if you hate it, we'll have to come up with a solution. So yeah, so far so good.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's a difficult situation to be in, especially in this case, because I don't know how to fix it after this point.
So it doesn't even matter how it's dried, Joey. Like even if it's kiln dried, it won't kind of set the resin in the wood. Like it still stays that waxy.
It seems like the special hardener version of the Osmo worked and it dried, but the resins still seem to affect whatever goes on top of that. And I could put more of this hardened version of Osmo on, but like I say, I can't get a good finish. All you see is these big swirly marks where you've applied it. Even if you go onto it with a rag, 2 seconds later, the rag just pulls and you can just feel it grabbing and dragging the finish off, and it just does not do what it should.
What about if they're not happy with it? What about offering up the kind of the COC patchwork inlay as a solution and just remove the section of the knot, like deliberately
good
make
idea.
them a feature of the table?
That was my initial. When I saw the slabs, I said to them, what do you want to do? There's a couple of bark inclusions. There's a couple of big knots. There's a couple of splits. Should I patch it or do you just want black filler? and so she was just like, "Oh, just black filler." And
Okay.
I probably should have showed them a picture. The last time I showed someone a picture of this Yossi style patchwork, they were just like, "Ooh, no, I hate that." So I was kind of like,
Then they're not the only ones,
"Yeah, yeah, yeah."
judging by the comments on the CEO's
I know, I love it, but
Instagram.
I think it would be cool. So my only, after thinking about that particular table, the only thing I can think of is somehow I have to scrape it all off, get back to bare timber, and use an epoxy right from the start. Epoxy, finish it, and then maybe just buff it, polish it up to whatever finish I can get off it, a bit like a timber bench top or something. But that's just so much work on top of what I've done. So yeah, we'll see. I wanted to mention before we go, because I know we're about time. Have you guys heard of Hammeroo, the online store? I mean, I just found out about them because I can buy those steel bars that you put for like holding a table flat. I've never been able to get them here, and so I ordered a couple. Worked great. I don't know if anyone has got good or bad experiences with them, but they seem like they sell exactly what you need for all your kind of classic table making, furniture making things. So
Yeah, I've bought some nice threaded inserts for
yeah,
them, like just better than those crappy little zinc ones that fall
yes,
apart when you put a screw into them.
yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. You see those bars? Do you have success with them? Like, I have never really used them. Anytime when I've used it, it's more been like I've always had a steel tabletop. Oh, sorry, a
Right,
steel frame holding down the
right.
tabletop. So it's something a bit more substantial than that kind of channel that you inlay into. And you see things online, people saying that they don't work, or people saying that, the bending force of the timber is way more than the channels can actually respond to.
Yeah, it's an odd comment, I suppose, because I would say that if you think about a table, a traditional table with like a 75 mil timber skirt, that's way less strong than a piece of steel, and they hold tables flat, or seem to. But the problem is the designs are so different. Like typically, those steel bars are used when there's no skirts and it's like legs on a
Yeah.
top situation, which is what I just
Yep.
made. So I don't
With no
know.
breadboard on the end of the
Yeah,
top. Yeah.
just a slab of wood.
Yeah.
It went okay. I don't like having to put the inserts in between. You're going to route out these grooves for the C channel to fit down into, and putting the insert in between those grooves started to like crack the timber on each side. It's quite close. It
Yeah.
worked, but I think depending on your species, you could have issues.
You almost want to do the inserts first, then cut
Yeah,
the channel.
that's probably the smart way to do it. Yeah.
I reckon there is a better way to do threaded inserts, because I know what you mean. Like that thread on really hard timbers, it's got to be either razor sharp to actually cut the wood fibers rather than tear them.
Yes.
But somebody's got to come up with a better connector idea for threaded inserts. Like literally just something you drop in, then you turn it with an Allen key, and it grabs into the side of the wood. Something
I was
like
thinking
that.
about it. I get using the timber inserts, but I don't. Someone can tell me how much I'm wrong. Please do.
I know exactly
Go to the
what you're
comments,
gonna say.
people.
Go for it. Go for it.
You wait.
Yeah.
How I don't quite understand how the timber insert has more holding power than a coarse threaded, like an 8 gauge screw with coarse thread. Especially into something like oak, which is hard as shit. I think a timber screw with the big pan head is going to anchor just as well. The only time that the threaded insert really comes into its own is if you have to do more than one assemble and disassemble.
That was going to be my assumption.
100%. I'm with you, Joey. I don't think there's any difference. It's just for assembly that I would really use threaded inserts over a screw.
So in the future, if I do those steel supporting bars, I will probably just screw them in because they're never coming out again. And if
why would they ever come out?
Yeah, and if you have some leg assembly or something that might want to come off one day, then you put some threaded inserts in. But I think it's a bit overkill most of the time to put the inserts in.
I still reckon your inbox is going to be flooded, but
Yeah, do it.
Yeah.
Send me some.
come at me.
You must be clinically insane to have that opinion, Joey.
We're not allowed to have opinions, Joey. Come on.
Anyway.
Yeah. One last thing before we do go. I've got myself a laser cutter.
Oh,
I don't know if you guys saw.
Laser. Yeah, I did see
Yeah.
it.
I
Yeah.
haven't seen it.
I haven't got it set up yet. I'm
Okay.
excited to, but it's got a 700 by 500 mil bed.
No.
So it's not really going to be too helpful from a jigs perspective, which is what I really wanted it for. I actually couldn't have gone any bigger. I had to take the door stops off my door to get it through. So it's as big as it could be. But I'm just hoping that it's going to be able to open up a big, lot of sort of low costs, high volume style work. Can personalize stuff when I hand over the bar. Here's a little
That's a good aspect
chopping
of
board with my branding on it.
Yeah.
It's for free. So yeah, that's what I'm hoping it'll
What
come
kind of
into it.
thickness can you cut?
Material dependent.
Yeah.
You can easily do 9-12 mil ply.
Right.
So from a jigs perspective, that's perfect.
Pretty easy. Like, because you can make them so they like puzzle piece together and make quite big jigs actually.
Yeah. But I've never used the software before.
Yeah.
I've only seen this mate of mine, Dan. I've seen him use the laser a few times. That's it. So you potentially can, but I have no idea how to do it yet. So
Play with it, yeah.
the sky's the limit. I've just got to figure out how it all works.
Yeah.
It
Yeah,
will
right.
definitely open up such a market for you, Robin, in terms of the personalization stuff. Like even like doing trophies and things like that for different companies and sports events. Like when you compare the tat that you pay, $150, $200, $250 for, like a fake metal plastic trophy.
Yeah.
Like for you just to be able to use your offcuts, keep anything that's sort of trophy size, just create something fairly simple. And then they can have their logo embossed onto it. And yeah, man, really good market for you, I reckon.
I've got 2 projects at the moment. One of them is a gravestone for a deceased horse, and I keep getting these requests for it. And obviously it's got to be engraved.
Yeah.
And so it's funny because I think back to the markets and how all the stalls that were doing, a piece of timber with the "Don't come into this house if you're an arsehole" tagline, and that sells like hotcakes.
Oh, how good is Townsville?
And I would look at that and go, but I don't feel that doesn't make me feel like a professional woodworker or furniture maker to do that. But clearly people want it.
Yeah.
And it can subsidize the good stuff, the stuff that you do enjoy doing, right?
Yeah.
I feel like if I had the choice now, because I've got the little X-Carve, well, I haven't used it for ages because my laptop died and it's sitting collecting dust. But I would much rather have the laser, even if it's slightly smaller cut bed than the X-Carve. Just
Really?
because it can do the same thing now. The lasers can cut pretty much anything you could cut with a router, but I mean, you can't quite do the 2.5D type V carving.
No.
But you can still get lettering on a piece of whatever it is. And,
Yeah.
I think I would probably prefer the laser now than a small CNC.
Well, I'll give you my thoughts on that in a few months when I've had a chance to use it.
Sounds
Hopefully I feel the same. Cool. All right, everyone. Well, thanks for listening, and we'll see you all in a couple weeks.
Beauty. See ya.
See you guys.